Prince has every room of his house set to record.
Oh
So if he's just like taking a shit, he can just go, and it's just like it's recording. So if he has like a musical idea.
Or he has a musical fart.
Yeah. Alright guys, well welcome to episode 4 of Is It Still Scary? I'm your host, Brian Franzi, along with my host, Maria Del Carmen. And we are joined again by...
Bing.
Mandy.
Slagathor. Matt.
We didn't do this introduction in the last episode.
Yeah, we did.
No, we
I mean,
didn't.
I introduced everyone because I'm
Yeah,
selfish.
yeah.
I'm a little prick.
Yeah, you
this
didn't,
time
you
I
didn't
thought
let people talk.
This time I thought I'd give
do you
everyone like a
remember
little
you
Captain
argued what
Planet
episode
style
it
intro.
was?
Yes.
I screwed it up.
Welcome to episode 35. We're so confused.
We're bending time and space. No, once again, this episode 4, it's part 2 of our little Wes Craven retrospective because the great horror director passed recently, and so we thought we'd go back to some of his seminal horror films. Nightmare on Elm Street, of course, is our last episode where he sort of kick-started or at least rejuvenated the slasher trend for the 80s, gave it a new fresh synthy shine.
And saved New Line.
Yeah, saved New Line Cinemas. And then when that had run its course and was on death's door, Wes Craven again got a script, fell into his hands from Kevin Williamson, called Scary Movie at the time.
Yeah.
And then he decided, well, it took him some time to come around to doing it. At first he didn't want to do it anymore. He was done with slasher movies, but eventually came back around and made it, and then once again kickstarted for the cynical, self-aware 90s.
He accepted to direct Scream only because Drew Barrymore was signed to do the lead as Sydney. And then 5 weeks before filming or production, she then changed her mind and she just wanted to be that first kill in the beginning.
Right.
By which point, it's obviously too late for Wes to turn around and say, sorry, I don't want to direct this
I
movie
know, he's
anymore.
already done pre-pro on that.
But the best thing is that they still advertise the film as if she was the big draw.
Oh, she's the
And it's-
huge face
Oh,
on the
yeah.
poster.
Yeah,
And
she's on the posters. She
First
did,
name.
in the trailers you see all those bits, and then 5 minutes dead.
That's quite a big thing in slasher movies and horror movies in general. You kill the misdirect of
Yeah.
they did it in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
We thought that Tina was the main character
Yeah.
for the first 15 minutes of the film, and then she gets killed.
I
But
know,
Scream turned into Scream when the Weinstein brothers were like, rename it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, because it was
that's-
called Scary Movie.
Yeah.
It was called Scary Movie, and they named it Scream because of like the Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson song
Yeah.
Scream. They were like, that's
They
a good
liked
name
it.
for it. Actually,
So is it not?
So did the name? So hang on, I'm a little off on the trivia. So did the name come and then they made Ghostface look kind of like the Scream portrait, or is that just a coincidence?
I feel like that was it was a little bit of both. They were like, yeah, and Scream, because he kind of looks like Edward Munch's The Scream. But during the creation of Scream, that opening kill, which obviously I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about, because that's where I'm easily the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
But the producers hated the mask, hated it. And it hadn't come together as a fully formed cut, that first kill. That was what they were shooting first. And they were like, we hate this mask. We demand that you shoot this same opening kill 5 different ways with 5 different masks. And so that we can sign off on whatever mask we like the most.
Jesus.
And there was no way they were going to make their schedule or their budget with that. So they just had to be like, look, if we can just show you this first Drew Barrymore scene cut together with music, and if you like it, just get the fuck out of our way and let us do what we want. If you don't like it, fire us all. Fire Wes Craven, fire us all. And then they saw it, put together music, and they're like, you guys can just do whatever you want. Here's more money. Like they just like handed it to him. They're like, we were so wrong.
I like to think that maybe like Wes was going, shit.
Yeah.
He liked it.
Yeah. He just like wanted to get kicked off.
They missed a trick though, not designing their own mask, because as something that already existed, they didn't own like the merchandising rights to that.
Yeah.
So
Gonna make money
they
off that.
missed out on what became a huge
A
cult thing.
gigantic phenomenon.
And if they'd owned the merchandising rights to that thing, maybe they tried something afterwards.
I think they
after
might
the
have cut a
fact.
deal because the guy who owned it went on and called it the Scream Mask. Like
Yeah.
he started producing it as the Scream Mask. And so it's like, I don't know if he could do that without their permission.
He wouldn't have sold as many anyway if it wasn't for the film.
Yeah.
So
You don't really know why they picked this mask. You don't really know what the significance of that is. Like, there's really no explanation for that.
Well, if they used... Sorry.
It's the same kind of reason that they themselves, the filmmakers, picked it. It's something that you would buy in a store.
Yeah.
Because the bad
that's
guys,
what I would say,
the bad guys in the Scream films are not supernatural.
No, they want anonymity.
Regular teenagers.
But they additionally they want to create, a bullshit story and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, and then they say, like, well, we found where this mask can be bought, but this is sold nationwide. I mean,
So
like,
we can't find out who bought them.
you
or-
get
It's gonna
something.
take a while to find out who bought it.
You either get something custom made or make something custom made. Eventually, they'll trace it back to you. You can get something anywhere. Yeah, gonna be easy.
It
Yeah.
accidentally plays into one of the big things for this film is how referential of the real world it is.
Yeah.
They talk about real world horror movies, they talk about cliches of cinema,
Yeah.
and the mask that they wear is something that audience members will have even seen in stores.
Yeah.
Even the film itself is based on a series of murders.
Oh,
from the
yeah.
Grimms.
Back in Florida.
Yeah,
or
back in
something.
Florida. And he has a more tragic backstory than the two guys who actually did it in Scream. It's really sad. But, like, yeah, it's all based on that. It's all got real world basis. It's really cool.
I think the genius things about this movie are, of course, first of all, the fact that it really was one of the first movies to say these are people who have seen these horror movies, so
Yeah.
they're aware of the rules.
Like,
And then the other ingenious thing, of course, is that there are two killers instead of one, which
really throws you off.
It throws you off because it's like you keep thinking it's this one person, then all of a sudden they've got a good alibi
And then
because
they
they
keep
weren't there
putting
for that
clues.
kill, but they were here for this other
And
one,
it's
and so on and so
so
forth.
Like
simple.
you
And
mentioned,
it's
the
so
cop.
simple.
One of the cops has the same boots as
Yeah.
the killer, so you're
Yeah.
like, is it the cop?
Yeah, they start throwing all these things. Maybe the principal did it because he's really
Yeah.
weird when he's throwing those scissors around
Yeah.
with the kids and stuff. But it's like they're,
Just
they-
teasing it.
yeah, they're teasing you constantly. I mean, obviously it's the boyfriend, and the movie keeps wanting you to think it's Billy. They really want you to think that, and then they keep showing you ways that it might not be him.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
think it's a red
Do you know how
herring.
Billy has a reason? Stu has absolutely no reason.
He just wants to be famous.
Yeah,
and
he
at the
just
end, he's
wants
just
to be
like, "Oh my
famous.
god, my parents are gonna
Which
kill
makes
me."
him scarier.
Stu is
Yeah.
Shaggy, right?
Yeah,
Stu is,
yeah, Matthew Lillard.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't me.
The
I'll be
entirely
right back.
all
Yeah.
of the 90s. His face is the 90s.
Yeah.
He was always.
Hackers.
Thing is, he was always a killer.
Yeah.
He's
He was a
brilliant
bad
though,
guy.
because he is the unexplained psychopath.
Yeah.
Like that's what I love in a film.
My favourite one is the Scooby-Doo. He's
the
such a
worst thing you can do is what they did to, say, Lolita.
Yeah.
It gave him that backstory about being dumped as a teenager. Like,
Yeah.
that gives him some reason to be obsessed with, hung up on teenage girls. And that's not the point. The
Right.
point is that it's just the portrait of this man, and the origin of it doesn't need to be explained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the scariest thing, is that his character,
Yeah.
who doesn't have any obvious reason to be this way, is just damaged.
Yeah.
He's just
Yeah.
deranged.
And he's just
It's scary to have
funny.
no motive.
Like he's funny
Yeah.
and like
And he doesn't care, and that's scarier than someone with a
Well,
motive.
I think
Yeah.
that is also an interesting point. Is that he's funny and he's damaged, which is a general real life trend. Is that
Yeah.
the funnier someone is the more they're compensating for their messed up life.
yeah.
I mean, most of the time.
Yeah, and none of the
Yeah.
killings are like even thought of as supernatural. Like they could happen. Like even the beginning bit of the hanging, it's just a guy
Yeah.
rope done.
Yeah. Well, and then again, you have the mom listening in on the phone
Yeah.
as she's getting like cut up and stuff.
Oh,
So that's a little bit like Nightmare
so
when Johnny
sad.
Depp's mom walks in and sees like all the blood just shooting out. It's and then of course you've got like her Nev Campbell's boyfriend. He climbs in through the bedroom window like Johnny Depp does in Nightmare on Elm Street, and he's got the same kind of Johnny Depp looks. Like it's very, very, very similar. And of course you have Wes Craven showing up as a cameo as Fred, as
You
a
didn't point
janitor
that
named
out to
Fred.
me when we watched it. I know that he's the janitor. but
You blinked and you missed it. You were looking at your phone, and it is so
Why
fast.
didn't you pause?
It's there for a second. It's just like the principal's walking around, going, "Oh, not you, Fred," and it's Wes Craven in a red and green sweater,
Yeah,
just going like. "Ugh."
implying that it's the same universe.
I wonder how much of it was changed once Wes Craven came on, because obviously it's a very self-referential movie, and then like once they landed him as a director, did they go back and add in a ton of stuff that
Yeah.
Well, like you said, like it took him ages to kind of agree to the role. I guess he did kind of take a lot of liberties and just go, "Oh, fuck it, I'll do this and this and this. I'll enjoy myself while I'm making it."
If they fought to have him, he probably got a lot of creative input as a result of that, because
Yeah.
he he would want to feel.
I think additionally they would have
invested.
allowed him to do that because people would probably engage with the film more if there was more referential stuff to films that he was synonymous for.
Wes Craven at this point had quite a following, right?
Oh, yeah.
He had a lot of
Yeah,
bargaining
he had the
power.
ability to brand himself onto the film.
Well,
So it definitely makes sense that at least visually, things that you can add after the pre-prod, you know, there's definitely like he would go for certain types of framing and certain types of lighting and that are very him.
And in that first scene when Drew Barrymore's talking to the killer,
babysitter scene kind of thing.
his favorite scary movie is Nightmare on Elm Street, or either that or that's the one she's
I think it's
watching.
Michael Myers.
But it's referencing the urban legend.
Oh, no,
Her
it's
favorite
Halloween.
Her favorite is Halloween. Her favorite
Yeah.
is Halloween,
Yeah.
but they talk about Nightmare on Elm Street at some point, and I think it might be his
Because she
or
starts
it's what
talking
she's
about
about to watch.
Michael Myers thing.
I think she might be about to watch Nightmare on Elm Street, and then he's like, "Oh, is that the one about the guy with knives for fingers?" She's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "I like that. That's a scary movie." She's like, "Yeah, but the rest of them sucked."
We keep coming up with knives, like Freddy Krueger knives, Scream large knife,
Knives
which
are
it's not
scary.
just like you know any old knife. It's a very specific knife.
Yeah.
Like you can now buy that from like hardware stores as like I say hardware stores, like replica stores as the Scream knife because it's so.
It's got a very
massive.
specific. It's huge and it's got a very specific shape. The way it kind of like curves at the end there, like a little lip.
Michael Myers also a knife.
Yeah.
Well, in a number of scenes anyway, at least.
He uses a ton of stuff, but he
Jade
definitely.
number of scenes anyway, at least. Eventually people are going to start with like a caber with like knife. It's going to be like Cloud from Final Fantasy, like is the bad guy.
The huge, a broadsword.
I like how the beginning scene is referencing very subtly, I think. Like, the call from the babysitter inside the house kind of.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah.
Coming from inside the
yeah.
house.
There's a whole bunch of stuff happening in that.
Yeah, there are a few urban legend drops into that.
Yeah, there
because,
are.
I mean, because
Yeah.
the bad guys are being influenced by these things. They're trying to
Yeah.
throw people
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
by using the Dime Store mask and by following cliches and by being like movies because they don't want people. It's a game to them.
Yeah.
So they're
Also,
learning
it's
the
like-
rules from the media around
It's
them.
around the same time where everyone was like, the kids and horror and games and the copying.
Columbine happened right after, so it was sort of
there
an
were
interesting
loads
time.
of copycat murders from Scream. There were
Really?
loads.
In real life.
Scream
Yeah.
actually
Really?
caused quite a few.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
people would buy the masks and stab people.
The additional
Oh my
thing about
God.
Scream though is that it came out at a time which was literally it was on the peak of being able to get away with murder. I mean, like nowadays, less and less murders are kind of go unsolved. A lot less than there were. There was less surveillance, all this other stuff. It's less ways of tracking
No
people.
mobiles,
Forensics
really.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
it was a point where you could probably believably create this world.
Yeah.
It is scary in that sense.
Oh,
And it's small town as well.
when Billy gets caught and the policeman's like, "Why do you have a cell phone? All the kids have one these days."
Yeah, oh, that was
and I'm
right
just
at that
like, "Oh
time.
my God, can you just imagine that as a line?"
Why'd you
these
have a cell phone? It's like snake.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk forever about that opening scene because, and even
Please
Wes
do.
Wes Craven admitted that it was the scariest part in the movie.
Yeah.
The producer said, "Why are you blowing your load like this so early? It's
you
the
can
scariest part."
see all the budget in that first 5 minutes.
I mean, it's even in the writing. It's got the most clear-cut escalating tension, but then he clearly applies himself much more to the tension.
Yeah.
And his reasoning was, if you scare him good enough in the beginning,
They'll
you could just
stay.
let it ride.
Yeah,
the
they'll
rest of the
always
time,
be on
and
their
they'll
toes.
be on their toes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you've got them in the first 5 minutes, then you're fine with it. It's the same kind of thing I had with when I was watching Insidious.
Yeah.
I was
I
in
will
for
not
it.
watch that.
I was in for it. And I was like, oh, this is all great and everything is wow. It's been ages since I've found a film scary. The problem is they did the reverse of what Scream does. Is like you create tension in the first 5 minutes. They swept it away in the last 5.
Oh
they
my
showed
gosh.
they showed you who it was,
They
and
showed
it's like
you everything.
They
The
showed you
other,
the guy at
the
the end.
world of the other,
Yeah,
and the
the-
Tiny Tim song as he's like grinding the.
that
was so weird.
That works and everything, but you shouldn't have seen him. You shouldn't have seen what he
Yeah,
looks
you
like.
see everything.
Because you see him, it humanizes it a little bit. I know it's still a demon and everything, but it just takes it away.
But like
But
the
that
trailer
is-
for Insidious 3 scared me. I think I spoke about that before last
Yes,
year.
the trailer for Insidious
but
3.
like, I won't watch them. Because
Yeah.
if they can get me the trailer, I'm like, no.
But you're right. Once you've got them in the palm of your hands, it's kind of easy to kind of follow that and go, right, well, this is still scaring them. Let's kind of keep them on this trajectory.
It's not even like just scary. It's just kind of twisted and creepy, and you want to see why that happened.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's a lot of thought
Plus,
there.
you
With
start off
popcorn and
the
everything.
film with a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
It also is a signifier of the fact that it's like a very hybrid genre
Yeah.
film. The first the opening scene is this is a slasher movie, and then it gives way to the whodunit.
Yeah.
Because it is a mystery film second.
Yeah.
It is a mystery slasher.
Yeah.
So we get our jollies as a horror crowd in the first scene, and then we're able to sit back and think about the mystery a little more.
Yeah, because a lot of the problem with slasher films in general and horror is that we don't get a burst of anything happening because we have a slow build up for about an hour, and then loads of things happen, and then you're meant to be scared by that, and it's meant to be that build up has been what's scaring you. But the difference with this is that you get this initial burst, then nothing for ages.
Scream does
and then
it.
you're on the edge of your seat already going, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's the next one?
Films followed suit straight after that. Like, I know Urban Legend did it, because at the beginning I think it's like doing the flashing thing, and you're like, well, what's that? I didn't get that one as a kid, but okay. Because I didn't drive.
Yeah.
So would be the obvious thing. And then I think I Know What You Did Last Summer does it.
Yeah. That's actually I really want to talk about that.
And then
Another one.
Yes.
I would say a lot of newer films tend to do that now, like as a way to start the film.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly effective, and the information it conveys is simultaneously really meaningful and not, because as eventually it's revealed, Drew Barrymore doesn't make it out.
Yeah.
She's not the star of this movie.
And you expect that she is.
But in that first shot, you show her. It's like all in the first shot. If you go back and look at it, it's like the phone rings. Phone rings. She picks it up. Ghostface immediately on the other line, like, who is this? She's like, sorry, I think you have the wrong number. Hangs up, and then calls again. She's like, hello, and he's like, I just wanted to apologize. Blah blah blah. And she's talking. Now all of a sudden you're like, okay, I don't really like this. I don't like where we're going here.
Yeah.
She starts putting the popcorn on the stove.
Yeah.
And then
Popping.
and then by the time, and then she's talking about the scary movie she's gonna watch, and she's like playing with a knife block.
Yeah.
She already, what he's doing is he's showing you the weapon that's going to be used. He's showing you this popcorn that's going to start popping and that's going to start catching on fire later on. So now you're getting a sense of time.
You've already started the thing being referential to horror films as well.
Yeah, and by the way, this was revolutionary at the time. Like, her just talking about another horror movie as if it existed in her universe was people being like,
absolutely.
whoa, what? Like, nobody talks about that. So that already, you're just like, anything can happen now, right?
Yeah.
And then by the time she hangs up the phone that last time, all in that first shot, and she walks past the open, or she walks past the doors, like the patio doors, and you know, like, that's where it's going to go, because her boyfriend Steve is trapped out there right now.
And
like,
dies.
It's so
it's
like, and that's all in the first shot. That first shot tells you every single thing you need to know, and it gets you scared. It gets you ready.
But it's also the same thing where, you know, people have seen horror films, and they always go, you know, you have a demonic voice going, get out.
Yeah.
Reality, you go, all right, bye.
Yeah, exactly. They leave.
And it's the same thing I'm waiting for in like zombie, any kind of zombie film. There's been so many zombie films. At some point, someone's going to go, oh, a zombie.
Dude, even The
Kill
Simpsons does it.
Do the head. It's like there's so many films lately that joke that have to be a parody film in order to do that. But any film that is serious about like zombies or like these kind of horror things, they pretend like it's never happened before. And it's kind of weird because you get characters that, because it's never happened to them before, it's easy to scare them. So I guess that's half the reason they end up doing it.
I don't think it's really excusable anymore to set horror films in a universe
where things don't happen.
People haven't heard of these cliches.
Yeah.
You need.
He was killed. He goes, with what? A knife, you say? It's a knife.
For the audience to sympathize,
some kind of bladed object
with the character. They need to kind of be as clued up as we are.
Yeah.
I like it when characters go, so let's not split up.
Yeah. Yeah, let's stay together. Let's do the smart thing.
Power in numbers.
Which is a great point of reference, that when they're all sitting around watching the film,
they do the rules,
and they start talking about the rules and everything, and then Matthew Lillard leaves the room and everything, joking about it.
I'll be right back.
Don't ever say you'll be right back.
Yeah, and then he instantly does it, which it's a fun little referential bit, and throughout the entire film, because they've listed all the things, you start pointing them out and you start noticing them, and the second that you start noticing the things that you shouldn't do and they start doing them, you're already on edge.
Nev Campbell, when she's on the phone, she's like, why? She hates slasher movies. She's like, just some big-breasted bimbo who runs upstairs when she should be going out the front door. And then as soon as the killer starts attacking her, she goes up the stairs. It's just like, these people are trapped in their own horror movie. Like, that's what you start to realize.
It delights in us knowing things and being so kind of hyper aware and thus like hypersensitive to these ideas. It's like a great test of something scary is whether it could still be scary if it's like bright daylight.
Yeah.
Even though they should be taking their own advice, and they have sound logic, they all talk about it as if they know exactly what they do in the moment, and when the moment comes, they don't. But this is also to do with the fact that, you know, when it happens, they don't expect it to happen. It shouldn't happen. So they'll be flustered, and they don't think about the most obvious thing they should be doing.
Absolutely, and again, it's illustrating the difference between this like mediated form that we see it as a
you
a
say
film.
you will do something, but
it's easy to sit back and criticize like
Exactly.
we are.
Yeah.
But then in real life,
what happens in a film and how actors play it in a film, and then but you know, you
I'd
still
like to
don't
see us
know
make a
how
horror
you would.
film. Ours would be terrible.
After debuting at the Los Angeles Film Festival in June, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 has been making the rounds at festivals all over the country. Now that it's the official month of spookiness, it's time to catch the movie Bloody Disgusting calls a gut-busting, beer-soaked fever dream, and IndieWire called an instant cult classic. Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 is available now in a fabulous restored HD edition. Relive every kill, feel the sting of every paddle with no VHS effects. And for the month of October, use the promo code SPOOKY to get 30% off your download. But there's nothing quite like seeing the movie play on the big screen. Showings coming up this month include theaters in Lubbock, Fort Collins, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Seattle, Iowa City, and even Sheffield and Derby in the UK. Go to DudeBroPartyMassacre3.com for more details. And thanks as always for watching. That first kill is just a bravura sequence from beginning to end. And then finally, by the time you're in with these new characters, you realize that anything can happen at any time, and you're in good hands. Like you're in extremely capable hands. I think it's among the best things Wes Craven's ever directed. Is that?
But
first
it's not
15
just
minutes.
about the teens; it's about all the supporting cast, like the weird police officer, and then you've got Courtney Cox being the over horrible reporter person.
Yeah, Gail Weathers.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. No, she was probably since Drew Barrymore gets whacked, she's probably the biggest star in the movie because of Friends at the time. Yeah. And so to see her get decked in the face by Neve Campbell, who was from like Party of Five at the time, like it's funny to see a bunch of TV stars throw down with each other.
We're seeing that's a trend, isn't it? We got Elm Street as well, having Johnny Depp in it, who at the time
21
was,
Jump Street.
It made careers.
Yeah.
This is a trend of them casting. If they can't, they want to split the difference between unknowns and superstars. They go for TV people that you will know, but from a completely different.
Well, because TV at the time had a bit more of a monopoly than nowadays. Nowadays, you have movie stars that draw an audience already, so you go straight for the movie stars.
Yeah, even to TV shows.
Back to the beginning sequence, which again, I agree. We can talk about it for the entire thing.
Yeah.
By choosing Drew Barrymore to be killed off, I know she couldn't do it. They inadvertently created the same thing, being no one's safe.
Yeah.
This is the most famous person. This is the person you've come to see the film for. No one's safe.
Yeah.
Good luck with trying to work out how everything's going to work.
She knows the rules, and she died too.
Yeah.
So everyone is fair game.
And she's smart. She knows exactly what not to do.
And she does. Because she has sex.
Neve Campbell breaks rules. She has sex, and
with
she
the
makes
killer.
it out. Yeah, she
One
has
of the
sex
killers.
with a killer.
She has sex and makes out with the killer. I don't remember that bit.
She does. Well, they don't
That's
show
why
it.
Scary Movie did that whole like joke about That's disgusting.
That was just like too much.
I feel this is another emerging trend with Wes Craven. Is some of the cleverest things about these films are the accidents.
The accidents, yeah.
He by being forced to cast Drew Barrymore that way, he created this incredible thing where it was open season.
Yeah, no holds barred. Because I mean, you just kind of think she's done for anyway because she's alone.
Even the killers,
like she's got to be done for. She's in this huge house, but it's Drew Barrymore, so it's like they're like, nah, she's gonna make it.
They still do it at the end where they like think it's the guy and then he's gone, and then they do try and stab each other so they don't know who's the killer, and like because they're hurt too.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, now let me do you. It's like,
that was hilarious.
Can we talk about that scene? Because I know you love the opening scene.
Yeah.
I love the reveal.
Yeah, I like
in the kitchen.
All right.
I am absolutely mad for that reveal. I think it's
just so messed up when they start stabbing each other. It's just
You can't be too deep.
Hit me with a phone, dick.
It's the culmination of this entire mystery, this whole whoddunit thing. The reveal is genius because it's not just one person, it's two people. It's the people that have been with them the whole time.
It's just the one killer,
and then
actually.
it's more cliches on top, and they know about it.
Were just part of it, and we believed at one point that one of them was wounded, and they come in, they have the brilliant the deception where he convinces her to give him the gun, and he has the gun, and then Billy, who we think, is it Billy that's outside, and we think that
yeah.
we think at this point
additionally, because we see all of them at some point with Ghostface and everything. At some point, everyone sees them. We instantly think it's just one guy, and it's one guy that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
We don't automatically go, oh, there's two of them, and they're taking turns.
Yeah. There's simple, brilliant subversion.
And the problem
there is no third party.
It's not going to be a big surprise anymore if that happens in a film again.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't become a surprise. It happened in Scream 2. They did it again with two killers. And in Scream 3, they were like, what happens instead of... In Scream 4, it is 2 again, I think. But in Scream 3, they were like, what if instead of two killers, it's one? And everyone hated Scream 3.
Oh, God.
Not scary at all.
Again, exercising the whole open season thing, they just shoot him, although he lives in the end.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they just... in that moment, you see him go down, you realize what's happening, and it all clicks. It starts clicking into place.
Yeah.
And then the subsequent them stabbing each other, them explaining themselves, and us getting to know
that nice little cliche.
Us getting to know their real personalities.
Yeah.
It's where I feel it really comes together as this truly quite terrifying, at least in a kind of deeper way, this portrait of these two people.
I mean, the horrifying thing is that they chose people that... Well, they just chose who were their friends, and then it's just... It's such a mess.
Why did they kill their friends?
Well, and he killed her mom in the beginning too. That's the thing. Yeah. Another tie back to Nightmare on Elm Street is, here Sydney has to answer for the sins of her parents.
Yeah, because it's about the affair with
it's about her mom sleeping around, and it drove Billy crazy because it made his mom and dad split up, so he killed her mom, and then a year later, the exact anniversary of her death, he starts coming back.
I love,
and then they kill him. They burn him.
Simple kind of putting the knife in each other like it's it's nothing. It's just that's for me the most sinister illustration of
that they're willing to go to extreme lengths.
They don't even care about their own well-being as long as it's a fun game.
Yeah.
As long as they've achieved this
they're getting off on it. They're this close to making out with each other. They're just so into it.
That's also it kind of does get.
Well,
a bit
they do
erotic.
joke about that with Scary Movie. They do just basically imply that they're gay, and then the other guy's like, "No, I'm not gay, man."
Yeah, and in Scary Movie, they're just stabbing each other constantly. Yeah. The problem I have with Scary Movie is that Scream is already funny on its own. It knows what it's doing, and Scary Movie comes in what this movie doesn't know is that this was really cheesy. No, they knew. They knew Scary Movie.
Scary Movie is good for pointing out the good parts of it, but they do it in a stupid way.
I really again, going back to one of the motives is they just want to be famous. Yeah. And that was kind of new for the time because reality TV was just becoming a thing, and there really were people getting just infamous or famous off nothing. Photos, stupid things. Criminals would be huge.
Nowadays it would be hammed up and it would be really obvious from the start.
It's a really good example.
Doing it because they want to be on TV.
It starts becoming a commentary on how disaffected this generation is.
Yeah, well, you know how I was saying the copycat murders? They went out, they bought the Scream mask, they bought the same voice box used in the film, and they went out terrorizing a couple of people and just stabbing them.
They may have made a voice box for that. I mean, I know Sydney has a voice box.
Yeah.
And the killers do too. But the actual voice is just a dude. It's just some guy who can do that voice.
Yeah, his name is Roger Jackson.
You can buy those voice boxes.
He actually plays Mojo Jojo in
Powerpuff Girls.
Oh.
Yeah, of course he does.
Beautiful.
He's Mojo Jojo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I love Powerpuff Girls.
And kind of in the same way that Wes Craven did it with Nightmare on Elm Street. He wouldn't let Freddy Krueger interact with any of the kids in between cuts.
The guy
Freddy
on the
Krueger
phone.
just leave and
he needs to be scary. He needs to
scare them. In the same way, they never let the voice guy ever hang out hey, what's up? I'm the guy who's terrorizing. They never let him see it.
I could be mixing my trivia of films up, but was it Scream that they didn't tell them who the killer was till the last?
I know that certainly in the case of Scream 2 and 3, they had blacked out pages, and some actors didn't know until the day that they were the killer. I know it was like that in Scream 2.
Just imagine.
In Scream 2, the guy went to set on the day and was like,
it changes how you act day to day.
Yeah, they're going to be informed by that, and their performances are even subtly going to change.
Yeah.
It's a very clever idea.
Yeah, you can start calling it really early on with a lot of films now.
Exactly, and the whole point of Scream is that you're not supposed to be able to call it early on.
It does annoy me how many...
so smart that it knows you know it's Billy. They know you know it's Billy, and they just keep throwing it at you and being like...
No, because he's in prison, and then it's like,
Yeah, but he's still so creepy. Like, they're totally jerking your chain the whole time. There's like, oh, it's him, but he actually totally couldn't have done it. Spatially, he's not there for this. But he's so weird. Maybe he did... But how? Like, and then it's two guys.
Additionally, because of that, because he's so weird, and because we know it's a Wes Craven film, we go, oh, is this one a grounded reality film? Or maybe he has powers.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he gets away with it. Well, maybe he can space through walls.
He's sometimes really fast and sometimes really slow and can be really weak. Like, all it takes is like one kick to someone just be like, ah, and he like takes a while to recover. But other times he's really fast or really strong. Like, he just hurried Drew Barrymore up into that tree all by himself and just like strung her up really quick.
I'm not sure that... I don't think that at any point there was a doubt in my mind that it's not grounded in reality. It's not playing by the same rules as the real world.
Yeah.
And I think if we get it in the first scene, we get the phone call, we get the self-reference, we get real world things. I don't think, even my first time viewing, I wouldn't have thought there's any supernatural thing going on.
No, that's why that film is so scary in the first
place. And that's,
place.
Exactly. I personally find anything that can play by the rules and still be terrifying to be far more effective than something that has fantasy rules, which, let's face it, aren't rules.
Yeah.
Because if it plays by the rules and it's still effective, it means that it could happen to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Fantasy kind of rules work like if there is a sorry, I cannot say this. A certain set of circumstances. Try saying that.
Set of circumstances. That's
set of circumstances. Like, for example, Slender Man is like terrifying because you can't look behind, and if you see it, you're kind of dead. Like that's it. Slender Man's like based in things that we do find scary, like a faceless guy, which is why I think Scream works really well because it's a
businessman because he has a nice suit.
And like the
tentacles,
strange proportions as well. Like, that's a big
eerie proportions.
Yeah, that's the same. That's again with Scream though. He appears quite tall because of the way the mask goes and it's elongated.
A gaunt face.
Yeah.
And big, nothing eyes. Like that's why Slender Man works well. There's no
something
eyes.
that appears to have no
reflectionless
face. Something that you can't see yourself in.
Yeah. Anything you can't gauge an emotion from, terrifying. Anything that's kind of like blends in and black, terrifying.
Is this why Freddy Krueger wasn't scary?
I think that's a lot of it. Like,
actually, very, very good point. I think that Freddy Krueger had too much motion in his face. He was too
much
comical.
Yeah,
he was a clown.
I think that's why Scream like influenced so many other films because, like, again, I know what Urban Legend really is the one I go to. You just don't know anything about that. It's just darkness. You don't get a thing, and that's why I was really scared of that as a kid. And then I think
your imagination just goes wild.
You put like this, like, for me it was just like an adult, I guess, a really horrible twisted adult that just wanted to kill, and I was like no. But I like that's a common theme these days. You just don't.
And with Scream, it is the more you think about it and the more you try and justify it, it is basically there is no reason they did it. They're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Same thing. Small, misproportioned thing, white face, no emotion. Saw doll, terrifying.
Oh yeah,
Bing, gangly arms, very slender, terrifying.
Capable of stretching his head out
Bing's
of his neck.
Not scary.
No emotion.
Yeah.
The pacing in Scream is something that I've always found. I mean, you get the first kill. That's a 13-minute scene devoted entirely to itself.
12.
Or 12, sorry. From post that all the way up till Stu's party at the house, that's 30 minutes. So from when
42.
From when they find out about
42,
together.
You counted.
No, put together. Now we're
it's scene 118. I think I could check. I think scene 118, and I think they said it's the last 42 minutes.
Well, definitely
it's supposed to be all of that.
Someone read the Wikipedia page.
I'm sorry.
Hang on a minute. Are you cheating?
No. I just looked up facts before.
Here's a good, interesting thing about it. Here's a good point about the film.
But no,
I did it all myself.
When we were watching it,
said she had tons of interesting facts.
I just like the idea that you've got someone's thesis that you're giving all the information.
So I didn't want to be left in the dark.
When we were pointing this out, when we were watching it, we said like, hey, we're already at Stu's house.
Yeah.
And this is like the movie is just a little bit over halfway over. So almost the entire second half of the movie is just that night at Stu's house, setting up the van with the 30-second delay, and you've got Gale Weathers coming out, and then there's Officer Dewey, and she gets killed, the garage door kill.
Yeah, when she escapes through a cat flap.
And what's great is that like I love when she sees Ghostface and she's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, she's right up next to him in his face. She's like, oh, can I be killed next, Mr. Scary Ghost Man? The guy's like, just like nods at her.
Yeah.
I think Scream. Wes Craven was certainly onto something and was a huge hit back then, so he knew what he was doing. He was onto something when he said if you get him in the first 5 minutes, then you're golden for the rest of the time. I think now, as the years have waned on and everyone is self-aware of self-aware movies that are self-aware of self-awareness, just watch Scream 4 and you'll know what I'm talking about. The first 10 minutes of Scream 4 are just the movie. It knows that it's disappearing up its own butthole. Like that's what it does. It's like, we're disappearing up our own butthole, everyone. That's what Scream 4 is going to be about. And it actually gets some laughs out of that. But anyway, Scream 1 is scary and suspenseful and really well done for that first 13 minutes. It's excellent. And then the rest of it, I have to say, just sort of like has lost its luster for me. Like, it's still
Was that
funny.
the sound of it going up?
I mean, it's still fun, and I love the performances. I think Matthew Lillard is amazingly over the top, and I like all the kills, and I think it's very suspenseful and very, very well done. And even the awkward, weird, kind of arrhythmic pacing of it works in its favor. But it certainly doesn't scare me anymore.
Yeah, and it did inspire.
Is some of that to do with the fact that you
yes.
Is some of that though that you don't know? Well, you do know exactly what's going to happen. So I would like to see it from the point of view from someone that has never seen it and doesn't know the twist at the end. Maybe we're not giving credit where it's due. I
mean, it was very much a movie of its time. It blew the doors off the hinges, and now everyone knows what characters should know about horror movies.
I somehow
so it's like
feel.
It's over.
Is it? I mean, because you've got. Is it still scary? And is it still scary? Because can you watch something once and be scared by it, and then watch it again and be scared by it?
Now we're getting to the crux of the series, aren't we?
Herein lies the duality of the very concept of the podcast.
I think you can. I think you can rewatch something years later and still be scared.
How long does it have to be?
But to be perfectly fair, it does have to plug, I think, into something from your childhood where it's just like you can't justify it. It's just going to scare you forever.
Like, I admit, The Ring, even as a kid, I remember going, "That's not a good film," but it terrifies me.
Yeah,
I think
it has to get you when you're young and implant something in you and be like, "I'll never leave you." Brian.
You see, like horror movies. Do you remember when movies like and everything was big on TV and you'd like occasionally just see them pop up a lot? Like Scream at one point was just always on.
Yeah.
On Channel 4 in the UK, always on. Yeah. And I was scared of it as a kid because I kept seeing bits
of it.
I never saw the whole thing when I was young.
You don't get to settle down.
So I'd suddenly see. And
it was like the only film.
Yeah.
Like the only film that Channel 4 had the rights to.
Yeah.
It was that and maybe like two others I can't remember. Like they were just because I never saw the whole thing. It was just like bits, and I would be like, I would see a murder, I'd be like, no, because I was like 12 and I had been given a TV for my birthday in my room, and it was dark, and I was playing it on like 2 volume because I didn't want my mum to know I was watching TV.
Hellraiser 2, that was the one that was on TV all the time.
The one, is that the one with the pins?
Oh, Hellraiser is
there is a brilliant bit of trivia about Hellraiser. I love this.
We are going to do Hellraiser for sure.
Oh no,
we're going to do Hellraiser.
Then stay tuned.
I shouldn't say it until we do Hellraiser. Really.
Yes, you should.
Yes,
it's such a good bit.
But Matt, I should go to you now. Do you think Scream is still scary?
No, I guess it's not still scary, but I still think it has suspense.
Was it ever scary?
Yeah, I did find it scary when I first watched it, because it is that thing where it's like, oh my god, he's gonna get. But I'm not scared for me. I'm not scared for the fact someone's gonna come after me. I'm scared for the characters. I start getting involved in the characters because we have that long period of time where we get to know them. We kind of like them. You don't want them to die.
I don't want Neve Campbell to die. I could see some of the others getting bumped off. So not scary anymore, even though it could happen in the real world.
It's not scary, but it certainly makes me, not want to go out of my house.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things.
Maybe that's another thing. It affects me, and it makes me be more careful as a result of a lot of things I've seen in the film.
What you're describing is fear, Matt.
Yes, it's given me fear as a residual thing, not as an immediate thing as I'm watching it.
But is that worse? That's more damaging, surely.
It makes me fearful of psychopaths and killers, not of the film and what's happening in it.
Perhaps like the way the killer is portrayed isn't that scary, but it's thematically what they're going for that gets at you. The fact that it could happen,
yes,
and people are influenced.
The same thing that I said with Nightmare on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. The premise is scary, so the nightmares, can still get to me and everything like that. That is a terrifying aspect.
I think
it's just
scary.
The film itself, I don't think
didn't get to you. Okay. Maria?
I'm going to admit the thing that Matt didn't want to admit. I think it is scary.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think it's still scary?
I mean, Brian and I rewatched it last night, and I was like, ooh, and it's like, even though I remember, I know who the killers are already as soon as I see their faces.
Yeah,
I know what's going to happen.
You badgered that out of me because you remembered it. But you were like, you knew the boyfriend was one, but you forgot kind of who the other one was.
Stu.
No, I wasn't going to tell you, and you're like, Brian, just tell me. No,
I didn't say tell me. I was like, confirm what I already think I know.
But then by the time we finally saw Stu, you're like, okay, it's
yeah.
that guy. You look at Matthew Lillard's face, you're like, yeah, this is the banality of evil right here.
Yeah, and I already knew what was going to happen, and I still found Drew Barrymore's death really scary, just because it's so creepy.
It's kind of heart-wrenching. She's like crying on the phone, and he's like, sorry for you, Steve isn't going to make it out. And then he kills Steve, and then her parents hear
you see that kind of...
Yeah, his guts just out.
And Rose McGowan's death as well.
Yeah. Her death is funny to me.
Yeah.
All right, Mandy?
Oh, me. I'll agree that the film still makes me uncomfortable. Part of that is, you know how I have a history of being pranked over horror films?
By your mom, yeah.
This one was actually, I went to visit my friend who lived in a bungalow, and we loved Scream. We didn't think it was like that scary. We thought it was like incredible good teen movie.
Right.
But like, I was scared, as I said,
Is there another phone call? Is there another phone call coming up?
No, this is better. So like, we'd watched all 6 films in this evening. Watched not all 6. What was it like? We'd watched a lot of Scream in this evening anyway, and we decided to go to bed, and it was a bungalow, and we're having a conversation on the 2 beds. I'm sat by the window but facing away from it, and suddenly I just hear, and I look behind, and it's a person in full. No, there was no one there at first. I was like, that was weird, and I go back to it, and then I hear again, and look behind, there's no one there, and then. And I look behind, and someone has managed to get hold of the knife, which is right behind me, and that's why they did it. Full screen costume, and I actually screamed and just fell off the bed. I lost my ability to be sat upright, and I just went.
Who was it?
At this point, my friend even jumps, which I think, oh fuck, and I just have to get out of that room that's by the window.
Yeah.
And then I hear laughter from this other room, and I go and see her brother, and he's like just laughing so hard. But he's at his computer, he's not moved anywhere, he just heard everything. And then I open the door, and it's her sister Jo had taken the mask off, and she's still holding a knife in the full like Scream thing.
Oh my God.
And it's just laughing so much because they didn't think they'd get such a reaction from me.
That's practically a premise of like Scream 5, I'm sure.
Yeah, and she thought it was the best, and I was like, because of that, I still get an odd jump from it.
Yeah.
It's still good.
So then what would happen is that she's standing in the doorway. Yeah. She's standing in the doorway, took the knife, they see the knife come through the knife, and then falls forward, and then the real Ghostface is behind.
Yeah.
So for me, it's still kind of jumpy, I get, but I really enjoy it. It's good storytelling.
Yeah.
Your friends and family really just want to scar you, don't they?
I know. Well, I think like I had told them what happened with my mum with the ring, and they continued it. I was like,
God.
Oh, dicks, bungalows. I hate bungalows now.
Fuck with you next.
I can never.
Well, we're all done with the podcast. Bye, Mandy. We all just leave.
So I would argue, I'd say for a new person watching it, it's still scary.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I was at.
Yeah, it is.
But not after having seen it.
I'm on the same side. Yeah. I think it's still an affecting, scary film. I think that
for a new
audience could come to it and still be just as involved and just as affected by everything that goes down in Scream. And I know that I can watch it and be maybe not, now that I know it all and now that I whatever, like with most horror films if I've seen them before. I'm not going to be as affected, but still, I'm there, I'm in it, I'm feeling the tension, I'm going where it wants me to go. Whereas with a lot of ones, particularly from the 80s, I feel that I'm not where they want the audience to be. I'm not in line.
It's got you in the palm of
I'm
his hand.
definitely in line with where they want us to be.
And that's
like the 80s
means
films.
it still works.
I've all been like, I thought I'd be scared, so I'm a wuss. So like The Thing, you were really annoyed at me, and I was just like, I'll play games.
The Thing.
The
Thing. No, I think The Thing was.
It's so fucking good.
I thought it was so boring. I was not.
You were on your phone half the time.
Because
it
was boring. It was actually boring. I got bored and started playing Two Dots. I was like out of it.
It's one of those movies where it's like you either flip the switch or not. Where it's like, are you going to be down for like the slowly building claustrophobic thing, or is that just like, I'm not buying it? And if you don't buy it,
but even like the scary part, I let a couple of the scary points happen. I was just like, it's impressive robotics and animatronics.
Okay.
But that's like the first one, and then like the Nightmare on Elm Street, I could not stop laughing the whole way through. I thought it was one of the funniest films I've seen in a while.
But I guess all it takes is a guy with a, screw the pyrotechnics. All you need is just a guy with a white mask and a black robe and a knife.
That would terrify me. I don't like them and spirit people.
So not scary,
Ghosts.
Scary.
I'm kind of what Mandy and you were saying is that it's scary for a new audience, but I think once you've seen it, you've seen it.
I'm always the guy on the other side of the fence here.
That's how I'm judging it, because I know like
you think it's scary every time you see it.
I love Scream. I'll watch. All I need every autumn, I just need a slice of pumpkin pie with some whipped cream, and I'll just watch the Scream movie.
Look, I've told you, I'm gonna make you pumpkin pie.
He actually had pumpkin pie yesterday.
Yep. Oh yeah, ordered it at the what is it called?
Hummingbird
Bakery.
We have a friend that makes it.
No, I've got their recipe.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to make it.
This is the most adult we've gotten about all of this.
We think I just make it.
Guys, let's all go make pumpkin pie and watch
pumpkin pie.
Movies. All right, we're out of here. Anyway, follow us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/5secondfilms. You can watch the show on youtube.com/bforenzy, and of course, we are also on iTunes. As is everything. As is your soul. Your soul is on iTunes. Go download it now.
And Apple Music now.
Yeah, Apple Music. How dare you? Thanks for watching or listening to this episode of Is It Still Scary? And be sure to tune in 2 Mondays from now, October 26th, when we discuss Ridley Scott's 1979 masterpiece, Alien. And while you're waiting on that, head on over to 5 Second Films' YouTube channel to see the Is It Still Scary panel interview Mad Max director George Miller. It's a great interview that could use some love. See you next time.